All right, now a very good morning to you, and many thanks for making it through to us again the way you always do, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The program is This Morning on ITV, and you're so welcome. Wednesday's edition. My name is Evan Sunokugi, and so good to be back here on your television on our program every Wednesday. Always not alone. I have my co-anchors, a beautiful lady, Anoluwakpo Stevens, and a good morning.
Good morning, Evans.
Yeah, and we should have show a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Evans. I'm so elated this morning.
Yeah, I know. Backstage, we're talking about football and all that. Even if I don't know jack about football, but I'll tell you two names that I don't know. Over time, the way they've been able to keep that popularity. I mean, Manchester United and of course Arsenal. Now, I remember some years back, when some of my folks were always talking about football and all that. So in order not to miss out, I had to buy a Chelsea emblem, and I kept it.
Don't mention Chelsea right now. Chelsea is annoying.
But excuse me, I think if you ask me to choose a club, I will settle down for Chelsea. I like their color, blue, and I don't want to mention names.
Right, we're actually talking about it, off camera, and then someone said, please do not mention Chukwueze or Alex Iwobi, and that was really hilarious. But it's a good thing that I'm repping. I think I'm repping Gunners this morning.
You're repping Gunners this morning, yeah.
Yes,
oh, really?
It's quite great.
Oh, because they won yesterday, right? I don't blame you. I want to rep Gunners. And I love football naturally, but Arsenal really, they did well yesterday. For the first time in about 20 years or thereabout, they are there for the finals. So it's going to be blazing. They deserve it. They worked hard for it. They played hard for it, and they deserve to be there. But will they win the trophy?
Big question.
That's story for the next day.
Big question. I wish we will talk about these foreign teams and foreign football. We'll talk about our local games like that, our local football.
Then the
the likes of Bed Insurance, Aimba United, Royal National, Shooting Stars of
Warri Wolves.
And then of course you have one in Ibadan. And all that. I think I really don't know why we don't talk about these teams and local football. It is not as if they are not there.
We talk about it on sports, they talk about it also global sport, because charity, they say, begins at home. All right, we are repping Bender Insurance from this particular side. We have other clubs. Warri Wolves is there. We have Kum also. They are there talking about Remo, talking about Enugu Rangers, Eyimba, Niger. It just goes on and on and on. Nigeria, they are doing well in the NDFL, Nigeria Professional Football League. So we are still growing, but I believe that one day we'll definitely get it, that globally become the signage of all eyes. I like what Bender Insurance is doing right now, going to top 4. At least it's commendable. They should just win the main matches. I want us to go for that intercontinental match. That would be a very, very good thing for Bender Insurance to achieve. All right, we have other teams too from the East, Enugu Rangers, but shockingly, Eyimba, for the past 2 weeks, been struggling against relegation, but now they are off the relegation zone, so they are back again on top, because Eyimba, believe it or not, they are our pride. They've been there in the continent over 2-3 times, one-time champions. But I wonder what happened to them this season. They had to struggle really hard. That brings to mind Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham United, those 2 battling relegation in the EPL. If you juxtapose it, you get to realize that
if we give you time, we write a full book.
Oh my God, I can't believe we're actually talking sports this morning. Really, I cannot believe we're talking sports this morning. But let me just add my own 2 cents by saying the only time I'm interested in sports and watching football is when Nigeria is playing. That's
heartache. No. That was then, not now. That was then, not now. Because watching Nigerian football is like you're holding on to your heart. Anything can happen.
Right, and shockingly, just to add this, that all of the persons, most of the males are actually close to me. They're always representing Arsenal. And then I asked myself, well, why? To be an Arsenal team or an Arsenal fan, you have to have a lot of patience. But it's a good thing they did win yesterday, even though they have so many haters. Let's hope they are able to cling to the cup.
Who are those sitting on Arsenal? Who are those sitting on Arsenal?
You just talked about, being happy whenever Nigeria is playing football. I think that has to do with the spirit of patriotism, and that's what we have to bring to bear. I mean, being patriotic for quite some days now, I've, been sad with the stories we hear from South Africa. Africa, you know, the way our brothers and sisters are being attacked in South Africa. And now, what I don't like about it is the kind of different, you know, stories, different analysis that we're getting about it. Now, some say it's all make-up stories, that the footage, the videos we see on social media, you know, they are not the recent ones and all that. But a neighbor of mine, you know, told me yesterday that they brought a dead, you know, relative all the way from South Africa and all that. So you can imagine. So I really don't understand why we beginning to, I mean, we should think humanity first. I mean, you are first of all a human being before you begin to know whether you are a Nigerian, you are a South African and all that. So we're appealing, you know, we're appealing, I don't know, we're just appealing that the attack should stop.
Right. The case of what is going on in South Africa currently, it's a very sad one, these xenophobic attacks, but also to put it out there that it's not just Nigerians that are going through a lot in South Africa, even Ghanaians, Ethiopians, Africans. It's really sad. I think they do not want foreigners in their country at the moment, and then you ask yourself why. If we go back to history, the apartheid era, when Nigeria actually played a big role in South Africa, and then when we actually got the clinch of the Big Brother of Africa, and then we see what is going on now, it's really, really sad. Yesterday at the plenary at the Senate, a very, very notable speaker, interestingly from Edo State, Senator Adams Oshomo, was so vocal about it, and he was so angry. And he said, you know what, if you hit me, I'll hit you back. And that caused a lot of reactions online. And he also did say that Nigerians, the federal government should revoke some of the licenses of the businesses South Africans own in Nigeria, likes of MTN, DSTV, and to think you're
be careful with the way you say that now.
He's quoting Oshomo. He said it on the plenary. He said it.
I think
he said it.
Yeah, but
I probably not said I'm not going to close anything that belongs to South Africa.
He was just airing out his
feelings.
anger.
Yeah, I know. Because what I'm saying, we should be careful with the way we say that now. Now you have a lot of Nigerians working in these, you know, companies you just mentioned. I don't want to give them cheap
and South Africans careful with Nigerians over there. Do you see what is going on in South Africa?
I know.
It's really barbaric.
It's barbaric.
That's the word. It's just barbaric, honestly.
Well, on the news, I was able to, like, you know, was privileged to interview, you know, Nene Kachuku, the ambassador of South Africa, that is from Nigeria in South Africa. She gave an insight into this particular situation. She gave two reasons. She said, if you observe this trend, whenever they are in the political era, some people will just whip up sentiment.
Yeah.
They are taking your jobs, they are taking your women, you have to fight back just to garner votes. You understand? He said, moreover, the unemployment rate also in South Africa is getting too high. It's like they are dragging for lean resources. So what would they do? Targeting older persons. Nobody told them not to go to school. Nobody told them not to be hardworking. And the rest of Africa, according to the report, would just want to chill, want to relax, want to have fun. But when the money is not coming, they're looking for who to blame. I love what Botswana did. They cut off electricity supply to South Africa in response to what they're doing to citizens. And they warned, said, look, you do not touch our nationals, or else we are going to push back. They are pushing back. Mozambique also is following suit. Now the question is, what is Nigeria doing? Because this time I believe that South Africa is going to, you know, respond to tit for tat, like what Shomole said. You push me, I push back. So you know that I too, I can push, because if you cut off the benefit you are benefiting from us or giving to you, that will bring you back to your senses. Now take a look what is going on. You attack a shop, a business enterprise because it's not yours. You are fighting. Why are you even fighting? Julius warned them. He said, look, this thing that you guys are doing, stop it. You need to go to school, you need to upgrade, you need to get education so you can compete favorably. If you want to learn a trade, go learn a trade. We have the population will come and patronize you. Now you're talking about business. What kind of a business enterprise do you have in South Africa?
Anyway,
if they are coming to purchase from you, you are not there in the tire business. You are not there in beverage business. You are not there in owning clubs. So what do you own? Because we have population. If you have all these things, we'll come patronize you. Go and upgrade, learn a skill, learn a trade for you to compete. And guess what? It's like the white minorities. They are not even in this particular enclave that have been, like, you know, attacked because Trump warned them. I say, look, if you touch the white minorities again, you will hear from me.
Yeah, if you talk about the white minorities in South Africa, I think to a very large extent they've been able to really seclude themselves from a lot of things, even from their abode, their settlement. You could tell. I mean, you go to
Totally
you find them
different.
in highbrow areas. You know, highbrow areas, places like Johannesburg, you know, and some other places.
And these are
So
South Africans
you don't
also.
find them. Yeah, they are South Africans.
So what's the
But,
difference between the white minorities and
you
the
know,
majority?
Whatever the case is and whatever the issues are, we are pleading, you know, we are pleading the South Africans that please do not attack.
I don't think
Evans,
pleading
pleading
is
will
what
not
we
work.
need right
Yeah,
now.
Pleading will not
Action
work.
is-
We've been pleading for quite a long time. It won't work. It's getting too much.
I know that there are bilateral talks as it stands now. And I also want to praise, you just mentioned of the senator representing Edo North, Senator Adams Oshomole, you know, trying to look at it. The best approach we can actually use to this now is to call the two nations, you know, we should
Evans,
approach
we've been calling.
bilateral approach.
Action
We've been
is what we
talking,
need.
we've been
Yeah.
calling. It's like they're not
Can you go to
listening.
South Africa now? You cannot
that's
go
why we
there.
have
Yeah,
the
but still
minister
they're
of
in
Foreign
Nigeria.
They
Affairs.
have to speak to their conscience.
Right.
Ojuku,
So let's
Bianco
speak to their
Ojuku, she's been
conscience that they
trying.
should
Right.
stop it.
Nigerians emissaries have been sending messages. I love what Botswana did. First thing first, take out what they are benefiting from you. Cut off electricity. They did.
And that
they
is
said, "Fund that will not supply you electricity until you change," and they're beginning to respond.
And that is what Adams Oshomole, the senator, was trying to say yesterday. But let's even talk about the federal government involvement in this. As we speak now, President Bola Tinubu is out of the country. The last we heard of him is in France. And he's not just only going to be visiting France, he has multiple visits to multiple countries.
I think 4 countries are
and that has
thereabouts.
sparked a lot of reactions.
No, I guess he
online.
left too
But-
early for a
Right.
three-day business meeting.
It's not just 3 days. It has a lot of other countries to visit, so it should actually be more than 3 days from the look of things. But the federal government has actually, you know, initiated a repatriation move for the Nigerians in South Africa that want to come back home, but then they said it's going to be at your own cost. No, we'll leave it as that.
They will
At
go
your own
again. Now,
cost.
how would you say that? I mean, somebody that is taking all of a sudden, then you are saying it should be on his or her own cost. I mean, that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying. So you can see
Anyway,
how,
over 130,
you know,
but not all of them, because say that for what the councillor said, she said over 130 Nigerians are willing to come back home.
anyway, we send because
That
of
might not be on their
time.
own cost.
Yeah, because of
they
time.
should be subsidized somewhere. I mean, it's like,
Absolutely.
you know, the fare. and the rest
The
of them,
program
it's-
is this morning on ITV, Wednesday's edition. So we've got our co-anchors in Lagos and, of course, in Abuja. So when a time comes, definitely you get to see them so that we take you along. So from Benin this morning, our talking point is going to be on governance accountability and, of course, you know, estraying governmental agencies, their roles in government accountability. That's, you know, what we're going to be talking about this morning. So we'll take a short pause now and allow the corporate trainer, Inwalata Nusakai, to come into the program. A very good morning.
Inwarata no Sahai is my name, and I'm so delighted to come away this morning and add value to your day, to your business. So that organization and vision you are driving as I've been doing since the last 16.5 years. This morning, we are continuing on the trajectory of driving workplace productivity with emotional intelligence. And we have gotten to the fourth pillar of emotional intelligence, which is social skills. And as we have been doing since we started this journey, using case scenario to drive home these principles that can help you drive productivity, especially as a leader, as a team head, and as a business person. You know, we are doing that again this morning. And the case scenario we are going to be looking at is how a chief medical director used the emotional intelligence component of social skills to transform anger into assurance in healthcare. How a chief medical director used social skills to transform anger to assurance in healthcare. Now, you know, as a chief medical director, it is very important you understand how important social skills is to you. With your medical degree, you got into the theater, as we all know. But if your hospital will perform well, it's going to be a function of the emotional intelligence component of social skills that you possess. And it is very, very important that you take this seriously. For a chief medical director of a private hospital, for example, the emotional intelligence component of social skills is your ability to effectively manage relationship, communicate clearly, be able to, you know, navigate interpersonal dynamics towards ensuring that we achieve amazing patient outcome, ensuring teamwork, and achieving hospital goals. So for you as a chief medical director of a private hospital, the emotional intelligence component of social skills is a strategic leadership asset for you that will help you to project yourself in a positive light, project your hospital in a positive light. You know, take your hospital from that level of just being a place of treating illness to that beacon of professionalism, human connection, and then brand consolidation. This is very, very important. And like we said, we are going to be looking at the case scenario, you know, that will help you to see this in a practical light. The title of the case scenario, like I said earlier, is how a chief medical director used the emotional intelligence component of social skills to transform anger into assurance in healthcare. Now, I go straight into the case scenario. The incident: a patient in the surgical ward was mistakenly administered a double dose of potent analgesic due to a transcription error between the night and morning nurse shifts. While the patient was stabilized quickly and suffered no permanent harm, the family, highly influential and understandably terrified, became aggressive. They gathered in the hospital lobby, demanding a refund and threatening to post a negative review on social media, alleging negligence and carelessness. Now, the CMB's social skill intervention. The chief medical director was alerted. Instead of sending a legal representative or a mid-level administrator, he walked into the lobby himself. This is very strategic. Then establishing immediate rapport. He did not begin with a defense. He approached the family spokesperson, lowered his voice to match the somber mode, and asked to move to a private office to ensure their concerns were given the undivided attention they deserved. Now, remember, I have also explained the emotional intelligence component of social skills as the integration or the exhibition of all the other four components of social skills: the self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and motivation. When you are engaging as a social skills, the emotional intelligence component of social skills, you are actually bringing into practice the other four components I just mentioned just now of emotional intelligence. And that is what exactly this chief medical director of this particular private hospital, you know, practicalized. He just decided not to defend himself. He didn't try to blame any staff. He, decided to isolate the people and take them to a private place. He controlled his emotions, self-regulation. He was aware of his own personal emotion, understanding that if he should react, impulsively, it's going to negatively affect the outcome at the end of the day, and that may result to the debranding of his private hospital. So, establishing immediate rapport. He did not begin with a defense. He approached the family spokesperson, lowered his voice to match the somber mode, and asked to move to a private office to ensure their concerns were given the undivided attention they deserved. Validation and active listening. Once private, he allowed the family to speak for 10 minutes without interruption. The emotional intelligence component of self-regulation in place. He maintained composure. As it is presently said in our environment, he maintained his steeze, he kept his composure. He used non-verbal cues, nodding and maintaining steady eye contact to show he was processing their anger. He validated them by saying, if this were my mother, I would be just as outraged. This is the emotional intelligence component of empathy, which makes somebody or makes a leader to see things from people's perspective coming into play. Emotional intelligence is for you to understand the feelings and the pains of other people. The emotional intelligence component of empathy is you understanding the pains, the feelings, the perspective of others. And that was exactly what the CMD did here in this case scenario. And it was shown that he made an empathy statement, which I read just now. If this were my mother, I would be just as outraged. Transparent persuasion. Rather than hiding behind medical jargon, he explained exactly how the transcription error occurred. He then pivoted to the solution, outlining the new double-check digital protocol he was implementing that very afternoon to ensure it never happened again. That is the emotional intelligence component of motivation, which is commitment to seeing, to seeing that things are done better in ensuring that customer satisfaction, ensuring organizational goals, are achieved. That is exactly what the CMD did right here. Let me take that line again. Transparent persuasion. Rather than hiding behind medical jargon, he explained exactly how the transcription error occurred. He then pivoted to the solution, outlining the new double-check digital protocol he was implementing that very afternoon to ensure it never happened again. Collaborative resolution. He then asked the family what would make them feel safe for the remainder of the patient's stay. By involving them in the solution, he transitioned them from adversaries to partners in the patient's care. Very important. The outcome, the family felt respected and heard. They dropped the threat of a social media campaign and expressed appreciation for the CMD's personal involvement. The patient remained at the hospital for the duration of their recovery. Then let's see 3 leadership lessons from this case scenario. Number 1, presence is the ultimate de-escalator. Powerful statement. Presence is the ultimate de-escalator. In moments of crisis, the socially skilled leader understands that their physical presence carries weight. By showing up personally rather than delegating the conflict, the CMD signaled that the family's dignity was worth his time. This immediate investment of status often neutralizes the need for external escalation, such as lawsuits or public outcries. Now, in critical moments, physical presence and direct engagement are more powerful than hierarchy or formal authority. Presence builds trust faster than position. Very important. Then the second leadership lesson from this case scenario, empathy as a strategic bridge. The CMD used empathy not just as a feeling, but as a social tool. By mirroring the family's concerns, where he said, if this were my mother, he collapsed the us versus them barrier. When a leader acknowledges a mistake with genuine human emotion, it becomes harder for the aggrieved party to remain combative. Emotional validation is a strategic leadership tool. I believe you are noting that. Then the third leadership lesson from the case scenario, turning failure into systemic evolution. Socially skilled leaders do not just apologize, they offer a vision for the future. By detailing the protocol changes, the CMD moved the conversation from a past mistake that couldn't be changed into a future improvement that provided value. He successfully reframed a clinical failure as a catalyst for institutional growth. Very, very amazing case scenario. What was the title of the case scenario one more time? How a chief medical director used social skill to transform anger into assurance in healthcare. So this is a serious skill every leader must learn. It's a serious skill. The emotional intelligence component of social skill is a serious skill that must be in your skill portfolio as a leader, in order for you to always ensure that you effectively manage relationship towards achieving organizational goals. Now, in managing of relationship, you communicate clearly, you manage conflict, and at the end of the day, you have an effective team that always project your brand in a positive light. I believe that profound value have been added to you today. As you always connect, send your questions, your inquiries to my email, inuagata@gmail.com, INUAGHATA, and then I forward your response to you, and then we're able to build a better leadership system for ourselves, better nation, and even a better world. I'll be seeing you next week Wednesday, and when I return, I remain amiable. Inuagata no Sahai. Your day is so blessed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in
Many thanks for rejoining on CMI this beautiful morning. We would be reviewing the papers this morning, and of course we'll be reviewing it with Dr. Victor Ohai, who will be joining us very much later. All right, as first paper this morning that we will be looking at is the New Telegraph newspaper. The New Telegraph newspaper, the big headline there says, "New rule shuts out Uzodinma Oshomole orders." You get that on page 2, on page 3, and also on page 5. 11th Assembly presiding officers' positions. Okay, a writer says, as Senate tightens eligibility, aspirants to have served at least 2 consecutive terms immediately preceding nomination. Another writer says, xenophobic tensions, Akpabio to lead NAS committee to South Africa. You get that on page 2, on page 3, and on page 5 on the New Telegraph newspaper. Okay, another headline that says, Delta killing insecurity, IGP orders nationwide arms ammunition audit. You get that on page 4. A writer says operatives nabbed 280 suspected terrorists orders. You get that on page 4. NAS, fresh defections as Umer Abaribe anger switch parties. ADC loses 18 reps, 17 to NDC and 1 to APC. ADC reviews nomination fees downward. You get that on page 3 and also on page 5 on the on the New Telegraph papers this morning. Drinking more water doesn't prevent kidney stone study. You get that on page 30 on the papers. All right, another headline on page 3 says, Obi discussed credible elections with U.S. Consul General. You get that on page 3 on the papers. Gandaji finally recognizes Sanusi 6 years after dethroning him as emir. You get that on page 4 on the papers this morning. Another headline there says, Tinubu deadline denies assent to NIMC Act 2026. You get that on page 5 and on page 6 on the papers this morning. Okay, that is all on the New Telegraph newspaper. Do well to grab a copy and go through them. Like I said earlier, Dr. Victor Ohai will be joining us pretty much later. Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The big headline on the Punch newspaper says, Obi Kwankwaso as seat rocks ADC. 18 lawmakers join NDC. A writer says Akpabio mocks opposition parties amid exodus of Kwankwasia's supporters. 23 ADC's aspirants defect in Anambra. You get that on page 2 on the Punch newspaper. Another headline there said, xenophobia role Oshomole 6 and on MTN DSTV. You get that on page 7 on the Punch newspaper. Co-trial. Villa workers claims he was misled. You get that on page 8 also on the papers. Another headline there says INEC reopens nationwide voters registration Monday. Get that on page 10. INEC reopens nationwide voters registration Monday. You get that on page 10 on the Punch newspaper. Another headline there says 62 Nigerians detained in Uganda battle illness, infants hospitalized. You get that on page 4 and also on page 5 on the Punch newspaper. Another headline there says opposition rift widens over sole presidential ticket. You get that on page 2 also on the Punch newspaper. Another headline there says lovers range Lagos spa worker bath with acid. You get that on page 4 and also on page 5 newspaper. Still on the headlines, another headline says customs nab 71-year-old with 2.35 million naira cocaine haul. You also get that on the Punch newspaper. You get that on page 20 on the Punch newspaper. Do well to grab a copy and go through them. We're still on the papers review. Let's take a look at the next paper, which is the Vanguard newspaper. The big headline on the Vanguard newspaper says 2027 citing crisis, 19 NASA members defect to NDC. Get that on page 5. A writer says ADC and NPP lose 3 seats in Senate in Abaribe as Abaribe Umer anger defect. Another sub-writer says 18 reps defect from ADC, 17 to NDC. 1 joins APC. Another one says Senate's configuration APC 88, ADC 8, PDP 4, NDC 3, ABGA 1, and Accord 1, vacant 4. Another writer says reps APC 260, PDP 38, Labour Party 21, NDC 17, and then PP 14, ABGA 5, others 4. Another writer says ADA distances itself from ADO's fight against NDC's registration. Another writer says, I think ADC is dead, Akpabio. You get that on page 5 on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Another headline there says federal government sanctions 148 officers destroy 1,167 phones and crack down on prisons contraband. You get that on page 9 on the papers. Another one says 2027 Wike settles for George Kelly. Chinda as APC PDP govern aspirants, SARS. Get that on page 21 on the Vanguard newspaper. In another headline, alleged coup plot. Over 10 million naira paid to me was for prayers. Islamic cleric insists. You get that on page 9 on the Vanguard newspaper. All right, still on the papers, another headline there says xenophobia. Senate reps orders mount pressure on South African government. You get that on page 8. A writer says diplomatic pressure as African nations threaten retaliatory action. You get that on page 8 on the paper. Nestle, we are not responsible for banks. 20 on the papers this morning. And the picture there says First Lady receives women's charter. That is a picture on the Vanguard. Those are all the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper. Do well to grab a copy and go through them. Moving on, still on the papers review, let's take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily paper, the big headline there says bandits kills 24 in Castina as military neutralizes 45 gunmen. You get that on the Daily Trust papers. Another headline there says alleged coup. I was deceived by co-suspect. You also get that on page 32 on the Daily Trust newspaper. Police seal ACF headquarters. You get that also on the papers. Another headline there says Senate amends rules on election of preceding officers. You also get that on the papers this morning. Another headline there says rainstorm kills boy, destroys houses in Kaduna State. You get that on page 35 on the papers. Another one says Bella takes over as Ovie bows out of Zenith Bank. You get that also on the papers. You get that on page 25 on the Daily Trust newspaper. Still on the headlines, another headline says I was detained, tortured for rejecting policeman's advances. You get that also on the papers. Another headline there says ADC lost Senate reps seat, review costs of forms. You also get that on the Daily Trust newspaper this beautiful morning. Okay, we're still on the papers review, and we have our guest here this morning, Dr. Victor Orha. I told you guys earlier he would be joining us pretty much later, and here he is in the studio. Dr. Victor, good morning.
Good morning.
Trust you're doing good this morning.
I'm okay, and you? Looking good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, we're on the papers review. On the Daily Trust, one of the big headlines there says bandits kills 24 in Castina as a military neutralizes 45 gunmen. I mean, still an insecurity.
Well, in recent times, we have to give it to the military. We've been seeing action, both with air and ground forces, but these people persist. I think that it is good that as we're hearing bandits, we're also hearing that the military are also striking. It might take a while, but I just want to stay hopeful and optimistic, although it's a sad thing that we're going through what we're going through.
So we should be hopeful and
I think
optimistic.
We should be hopeful, yes, and optimistic. I mean, what choice do we have?
Okay, still on the papers review, let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. The big headline on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper says 17 reps want Senator follow Kwankwaso Obi to NDC. You get that on page 4 and on page 16. A writer says ADC reviews timetable, fixes presidential primary for May 23. Pegs nomination form at 90 million naira. Another writer says special convention holds May 26. You get that on page 4 and on page 16 on the papers this morning. Another headline there says Senate amends rules, limits leadership positions to ranking principal officers. You get that on page 27. A writer as governance orders are in seats short shuts out. You get that 20 Nigeria. And their leg was made. Leg process as video statement 3 on Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Custom intercept 2.35 billion naira gain allowed. You get out of 20, and that's breaking fire in Lagos and Oyo State. Okay, another headline says, digital registration, opposition parties in last minute rush to beat INEC deadline. You get that on page 2. A rider says, senators, reps, gubernatorial aspirants move across parties ahead Sunday headlines. Okay, Dr. Victor Ohai, let's talk about this also will be our main conversation for today, but let's just talk briefly on it. 17 reps, 1 senate follows Kwankwaso Obi to NDC. We saw that they defected to the NDC, and I mean some persons are defecting with them.
Let me put it this way. There are some people that carry glory. And so if you stay under the umbrella, the glory. You recall that during the last election, there were people who were not even serious, who weren't even sure. They just said, okay, let me just contest for the sake of it under the Labour Party. And they just woke up and found out that they had been elected into the National Assembly. There was one in Lagos, for instance. You know. So I think what happened is, this is about the movement. That's the next best thing to an ideology in a political party. But in this case, because the movement is driven by persons, okay, maybe there's ideology behind it. And there's nothing stronger than anything that is driven by ideology or by a movement. And that's why you see the way it is. So it's not about party, it's about the individuals. And what you see here is there's synergy there, because Kwankwaso has an assured 1 point something million votes, and maybe more now because of the fact that many northerners are disenchanted, you know. And then Obi has, well, for the last election, about 6 point something million. And if the state of the country is anything to go by, and he's able to maintain that number, then between the two of them, they might be able to get not less than 7-8 million votes, at least 8 million votes. You know, but it depends on what happens with the other parties now. People have argued that they may be decimating their votes because he's going different Atiku. But the last time, too, Atiku was in a different party. He was in a different party. So, but the problem now, and I fear for Atiku, is that where he is right now, before there was PDP, so he ran under PDP, and PDP has structures all over the country. Where he is right now, the structure is not so strong, and he's not, the people that follow him are not people who are driven by ideology. He doesn't have a movement. So I'm afraid that it may expose a weak underbelly, you know, with him. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
All right, let's wait and see, and we'll talk more on that later.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, the last papers is, let's take a look at the Daily Sun newspaper. The big headline on the Daily Sun newspaper says, aftermath of Peter Obi's exit, mass exodus hit ADC. Trending. 17 reps dump coalition party for NDC. Babio pronounces opposition party dead. I guess it's all that, so we'll talk more on that later. Okay, you got that on page 6 on the Daily Sun newspaper. Another headline there says 2027 hope dims for PDP. A writer says, as fresh crisis may stale party from feeding presidential candidate. To get that on page 8 on the papers. Another one says Zenith Bank founder Jim Ovie retired. Bello takes over board chair. You get that on page 25 on the papers. Another headline there says Tinubu woes investors in Paris, vows fiscal discipline, policy stability. Get that also on page 8 on the papers. NAS blows hot over xenophobic attacks on Nigerians to meet South African Parliament. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Okay, let's talk briefly on that.
Yeah. First of all, there was a senator playing to the gallery. I'm not playing on words here, where we say we should cancel South African businesses here, forgetting that those businesses have Nigerian shareholders. Okay, MTN has thousands of Nigerian shareholders. MultiChoice has Nigerian shareholders, and they're employing people. You don't use, you know what this woman said, Obama's wife, so when they go low, we go high. That's not how to do it. But the same thing we did to the apartheid regime, we should do to this regime, which means that if Africa bans trade with South Africa or decides to cut them off and ostracize them, perhaps the government will then be forced to do something.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Victor Ohai. Thank you all for joining us on our newspaper review this morning. We're still on CMI. We'll be handing over to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on CMI. Just stay with us.
Onwa is rich in culture and traditions. The people are a mixture of traditional worshippers, Muslims and Christians. Onwa is located at the northern part of Edo State. It consists of 2 local government areas, that is Onwa West and Onwa East. It has a total number of 13 clans and 21 political wards, according to National Population Commission 2006 census. The population of Onwa people is put together at 251,686. The people love tradition and culture. Historically, the people ancestors in deep quest to hand down on their future children a society of love and friendship.
right, thank you one more time. The program still on your television, Independent TV, and this one on ITV. Yes, I told you that we are not alone in Benin. We have our co-anchors in Lagos and also in Abuja. Messelina is in Lagos. Okay, Tulokbe is right there in Abuja. Tulu, a very good morning to you.
A wonderful morning to you, everyone. So good to be with you this morning. And also looking at the state of defection is becoming what is on my must tell you today. I know in the course of this conversation we're going to talk more about it. But let me say this message now because it's really all right now, an opportunity to say something before we get into the nitty-gritty of what we have this morning, because we'll definitely be talking about the gale of defections, especially what transpired at the National Assembly last night. That is also becoming a worrisome trend right there. The massive shift from ADC to NDC. Is NDC the new promised land? These are some of the things we'll be looking at this morning from the Abuja studio right there. And I know we'll still talk a little bit about that before we get into the discussion right there.
All right, thank you so much, Tulokbe. Now, why we, all of us, all, I mean, even you, first and foremost, I'm a voter, so I have the right to vote when the time comes. So we are watching, and we'll see all that is going to amount to as the election draws closer. Now, Messelina is right there in Lagos. Messi, very good morning.
Beautiful morning to you, everyone. Trust you guys are good.
Okay.
All
right. So
basically, from Lagos today,
we just as Tulu was trying to talk about, Wilson and Anu, talking about the gale of defections here and there, and of course the introduction of new political parties into next year's election. Now, I don't know what all this will amount to, Anu.
Well, it just shows one thing: politicking is politicking in Nigeria. That's the best way to put it, because for a lot of the Senate and House of Rep members who moved over to the ADC, because we had Peter Obi there, I remember listening to a conversation from an ex-governor in Nigeria, Ayo Fayose, where he said that Peter Obi is the main bride of the ADC, and when you take him out of the ADC is going to fall and fall. Well, a lot of Nigerians at this point are watching and seeing if that would actually amount to anything. And now we're seeing them moving over to the NDC. Within a couple of days, NDC now has over 10 million registered members. Well, that says a lot for the 2027 general election. And I remember someone saying in the news that as at this moment, the NDC is the only party in Nigeria without any legal tussle at all.
Anyway, let's wait, because NDC was already a registered political party before it would be ported into the NDC, so we don't know what will happen.
Well, because this is Nigeria, right, and then anything could just pop up. But as at this moment,
too early. But I think you need to be mindful of the red flag, because I remember a few days before it was announced that Obi was going to the NDC. We saw the way the leadership, like in Edo State here, the leadership of NDC, the way they came on the news, it was on our news, making themselves know that, hey, we're here. So when you see things like that, you begin to suspect that anything may happen with it.
But well, the thing is that NDC, they've been in existence since 2017, if I'm making any mistake.
You can imagine.
2017, they've been there quite dormant until a force came into the fold. Take it or leave it. Obi, Kwankwaso, these are forces to reckon with in Nigerian politics. Within 1 week, take a look at the gale of defection to NDC.
It's not even up to a week, just a couple of days.
Not even up to a week.
I mean, they moved in, it was on Sunday we had that ceremony.
And this is just Wednesday. Okay, let's say 4 or 5 days. You get to see the defection from the National Assembly. Now take a look at the enthusiasm of Nigerians jumping into the NDC because of Obi and Kwankwaso. That means these guys, they're not here to play. They are forces to reckon with, and that should put every other political party on their toes. But right now, as it stands, where does ADC stand? That's the cause of an accent. Because it's like Obi seems to be the life wire of that particular political party. Now, bringing the Kwankwaso to the fold, it made it burn brighter. Now, both of them just left. It's like the fire just
But we also have other political bigwigs in the ADC, like Atiku Abubakar. We have Rotimi.
Do they carry the same force like Peter Obi and Kwankwaso?
He carries fire too.
What kind of fire?
What happened in the
yes, he carries fire, but you cannot compare the fire to that of Obi and Kwankwaso.
Listen, I think it's too
so
early.
there is fire and then there is fire.
Of course, why not? Fire, fire. You know, you do the match. You know what I'm talking about.
Membership of political parties are not the number that we have now is not the result of the election. Even if we are saying that just within 2 days we have about 10 million, voters into the NDC. I think why don't we wait? I mean, time will tell. We have just months to go. By this time next year,
about 10 million. Do you know what 10 million voters? I don't understand. The political 10 million voters.
Let's just
within how many days?
10 million
registered vote members. I mean, those
members, not voters.
Those to me,
that number.
Evers, to me, those are automatically registered voters because nobody will want their party to sink. Everybody will go get registered.
It's like you're a member of the NDC
I am not a member of any political party, but I like saying things the way it is right now. Within 4 days, I mean, these guys are they're not here to play. So the ruling party should wake up.
Okay. All right. So let's leave the very first discussion this morning to Messalina in Lagos, and we understand that she's going to be talking about the opposition crisis as it deepens, and also the factions rocking coalition ahead of the 2027 election. Of course, it's going to be issue, analyzing the issues. It's going to be counter reactions and reactions and all that. So, Messi, we'd like you to take it up from here.
Thank you, Evans. We're from our Lagos Network studio, and we have our guest here, Dr. Victor Ohai, who would be helping us talk about this all defection stuff that has been happening, and we've been seeing a couple of defection, especially from the coalition party, the ADC, and we saw that, Dr. Victor, now that Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, they defected to the NDC, we've been seeing a couple of defections later, 17 reps, and one senator follows them. And I was having a conversation with someone, and the person was like, anywhere Obi goes, I go. I mean, Dr. Victor, the whole thing, is it like Obi has been the one, has been the man holding down ADC? Because the few days that he left, or we've been seeing lots of defections, like people are following him. What would you have to say? Let's get your take.
Honestly, Obi joining ADC is the worst thing to have happened to that party.
The worst thing?
Yes. If it didn't, it wouldn't look so. Now ADC is like a pariah. It's unfortunate. And there are people who have spoken too loudly there now, they cannot move. People like Senator Dino Melaye, Bolaji, what's his name again? Bolaji Enwe, I'm trying to remember his surname, and a few of them. Momodu, Dele Momodu and the rest, although they are diehard articulates, let me use that language. If they were there on their own, it's okay, because a lot of people from PDP would just join them. You know what I mean? And Obi would, but Obi joining is like saying, you come with strengthening things. Do you know what it is to say, in one day, so you are a party, 17 senators or more people join you and all that. The guy that joined APC was always going to join APC anyway. We saw the sign during his birthday, or is it his wife's birthday, when this person went there, the chief of staff of the president went to Kogi, to celebrate with him, and he said, remain there, scatter them, we want you there. You could tell then that his sympathies are with APC, so they'll be it's like the article of ADC, but not that he was scattering it. And then one senator leave ADC. That would have strengthened the party. The party would have thought, they leave them in one day. That's not, the optics are just not good at all for the party. And then, the thing about obedience is that, and the Kwankwaso is that the Kwankwasia and the obedience, now the OK, as they call themselves, are driven by ideology. Movement, next to ideology, are some of the strongest things that you can think about. When you see, what you call them, like all these, I'm trying to remember these people that, terrorists. Terrorists are driven by ideology, some of them by movements. Some of them are movements. And it's hard to break.
Okay.
Because once you get into a movement, you are part of a movement. Common sense flies out of the window. If you are driven by ideology, you are steady. Hold on to it like that's one thing you believe in. That's why religion, for instance, you find religious movements, you find people who hold on to certain beliefs. It doesn't matter. They can be professors or whatever. You cannot break them. They hold on to that. It's like life and death. And that's what Obi enjoys. That's what Kwankwaso enjoys. And between the two of them, they have, and let me do a bit of the mathematics. I know that we have talked about it later on, but so we don't forget.
Okay.
People have said that the opposition may be weakened now. But I doubt very much. And I'll tell you why. What is likely to happen at the end of the day is that PDP may either field a candidate or may decide to align. If they are aligning, they will not align with ADC. I can tell you that for free. Except maybe there's a faction. There will be a faction that will remain. But you'll find a faction that may now decide to align with the OK movement, now NDC. NDC was a master stroke. Okay? Suddenly, Dixon, I think, former governor, is it? Who started it again? Is it Governor Dixon, I think? Siriake Dixon, okay. I think so. He was the one who created, formed NDC. And suddenly now he's a boss man. Let me put it that way. Okay? Now, what has happened is a situation where you find now that everybody, now that they know that NDC is peaceful, even though there's one man there trying to also create problem, but obviously has no point. Now that they know that NDC is peaceful or has no problems, they did their homework well there. There are a lot of people now who are going to go into that party because PDP is in tatters. And if because of the factionalization, if you stand for election there, you might not even, whether you win or not, it might not stand because of the factionalization. It happened before, I think, was it in Zamfara or so, Now, the same thing is going to happen with ADC because of the factionalization. Remember, the court cases have not been resolved yet. So, and if that happens, then the two parties standing will then be, two parties, that formidable parties standing, will then be NDC and APC.
And the thing is, what a lot of Nigerians have been saying, ADC was already a strong opposition party. I mean, the whole coalition stuff. Yes. But surprisingly, earlier we were contemplating Atiku and Obi, who would have the presidential ticket. I mean, Atiku would not want to step down, and Obi would not want to step aside.
But I always said so.
So now that Peter Obi and Kwankwaso left the ADC, because the way it has been, ADC was already looking like a strong opposition party. And saying now that he defected to NDC and some reps members and a lot of persons, they followed him.
That's influence. Because each of these reps members and that senator have followers. You get what I'm saying? Because they have a core group. To have been nominated and elected, they have followers. That's numbers coming along. Yes, pure synergy at work here. Yeah? Kwankwaso will definitely get his 1-point-something million in Kano. But he might get some more because of the level of dissatisfaction of the North. Because they feel marginal, they quote unquote, they feel marginalized, they've been complaining and grumbling. So APC will definitely, in spite of the governors moving, they will lose people in the North, clearly. Okay? And then, generally, down south, well, there are some people who are happy with the APC, but there are many others who are not. And you will find that Obi might even gain more inroads this time because of the way things have gone so far. So if between two of them, in the last election, they could get about maybe 7 point something or over about 8 million votes, if care is not taken, between the two of them now, Kwankwaso and Peter Obi, I remember at the time, Labour didn't have 17 House of Reps members or the senator that we have now. So that is an additional influence, numbers coming in to the party. And many more people are going to join them. NDC might get up to 10 million, between 9 and 10 million votes. What is likely to happen is what we are going to see between ADC, PDP, and APC. And anybody who gets up to 10 million votes, if ADC is not crippled completely, and PDP is not crippled completely, it might be a tough fight.
So you do not see ADC standing each other? I mean, Atiku has his own followers.
No, Atiku's followers are not driven by ideology, and they are not a movement. I've told you, if it's a movement, people for want of what you say, call obedience, out of frustration, because it's like they're not a hear word. No shishio, not a hear word. What you say, they say, they go. Same with the Kwankwasias. You don't have that. The people who you don't see anybody who say Atiku or I die. You don't get that. Do you understand? Many of those who follow Atiku are just okay. People who feel he's done them favor in the past and all that. And Atiku has always ridden on parties that have structures. This is going to be the first time he's going to ride on a party without. He has structure, but the foundation now is shaky. ADC is not PDP. Do you understand? It's not PDP. So, and what would have helped it was if all of them were still together, Obi, they say, okay, whoever wins, all of us will support. That is not there anymore.
So you think this is already too late for the opposition parties at this point?
It's not late for the opposition parties with NDC.
I'm talking about ADC.
With ADC, he just has a group of big men with him who don't have any influence. Atiku in PDP can do no less than 6 million. But with ADC, currently as is was at yesterday or day before yesterday, I doubt if he will get 2 million. I doubt it. I doubt it. Because who are the strong people with him? What do you call it? Amechi has no followers. Amechi cannot get any votes from any of the southeastern states. Even from Rivers, I doubt if he can win an election today with an ADC, not a PDP. Okay? Bolaji is from Kwara State. How many votes can he? If he's that strong, let him go for election. Let him go to the Senate or House of Reps or even House of Assembly. What's his name? The publisher. I'm trying to remember his name now. Who is a diehard Atiku fanatic?
So it still doesn't have.
Dele Momodu in any election may not get 20,000 votes. I'm saying it most respectfully. I'm pragmatic. I'm no sentiments, and I'm neither here nor there. I'm not for anybody, and I'm not for anybody. I'm not against anybody. My job here is to analyze, okay, and to do that dispassionately. I'm not trying to say what anybody would like to hear, but I'm speaking. I'm speaking facts, okay. Now, so you look at who are the strong people in ADC. Atiku himself in Adamawa today may not win a governorship election. Take it from me. He can't win Adamawa today. If he goes with his ADC to Adamawa today, he cannot win an election. So he's a goner. I don't know what else can happen. ADC is just an empty shell right now. What happened was a master stroke. So what you're going to see going forward is now you will see mass defections into NDC. That's what you're going to get.
That's what has been happening.
Yes, you might even see
it's shocking.
You might even see some people from APC going to NDC. Everybody now will just go into that party.
And the 18 reps that defected, 70 went to NDC, just one went to APC.
No, that one that went to APC was always APC at heart, so that one is not a surprise. Whether this happened or not, he was still going to go to APC. But they gained one of a senator too, so that's huge. 18 National Assembly people defected immediately. You know what that makes them? Right now, NDC can produce the Senate minority leader. I mean, House of Reps minority leader. Because I don't know if PDP has up to that number left anymore. They've all defected. So
don't you think now that the opposition remains divided, I mean, or the opposition parties?
I don't know if they are fully divided anymore. Where you say division is where there is even strength. ADC is finished. So it's now a straight fight between NDC and APC. So what needs to happen right now is, what will help NDC now is, if a faction of PDP aligns with NDC, I tell you, APC will be in trouble. If a faction of PDP aligns with NDC, they will be in trouble. I know ADC out of pride will not. Okay? They will not. But a faction of PDP...
You said out of pride.
Out of pride now. They won't. You will be like, wait till it happen. They can't. If they were going to, they would have done it. This would not have happened. It would not have happened. You can see the bitterness there already. The bad belly is there already. So that's the situation. So what needs to happen now is for a faction of PDP, because honestly, there's Makinde, yes, but who is he going to run with? And right now there are court cases, so there are problems. So instead of just losing out with the court cases and all that, they need to just align with NDC. If they do that, quite frankly, as we say, as was said in Julius Caesar, I said, let Caesar sit him sure, for we will shake him, or what's this endure. In that case, let APC sit them sure, for NDC will shake them, or what's this endure. Okay? So, but otherwise, ordinarily, before now, APC already had it. In fact, when it happened, before this defection, it was like APC has already got it. But upon further analysis, APC cannot afford to sleep. They've got to work hard. I don't know how they're going to penetrate. They have all the money.
Because now they've had a strong opposition.
Yes. Party. Maybe if they enter NDC now and offer everybody, all the top people there now, $1 billion, because they're desperate, they can't do anything. Say, look, where's it? Give us an account anywhere. No EFCC in this matter. We'll put $1 billion in your account. Everyone has a price. If they do that, then they might scatter NDC. But it has happened before. People have been compromising the other parties. They will have to think of a super strategy. But guess what? When a man is driven by ideology, and then if it's a movement, it go hard. Those people, they are die-hard. That's why they are called, that's why the obedience are called obediots, because they're not the hear word. They're not they take shit.
They are moving with him.
They are moving. You cannot buy them. Is it Mama P you want to buy? Is it is it Peter or Chris or what's his name, that guy in Abuja? Or is it Aisha? You know.
Okay, let's talk about the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, where he said ADC is dead. In his words, he said, I think ADC party is dead. Please, they should compile every resignation letter from ADC so that it will be easy to announce. I mean, at this point, it's mocking the opposition party.
Yeah, mocking ADC. It's not far from the truth. ADC is as good as dead. But what he's not seeing is there's a live snake, very potent in NDC. Okay? ADC, he's correct about it. Let's make no bones about it. That's the truth. You know, mocking, and while mocking, it's too early to gloat. It's too early to gloat. Too early. I can tell you that. What has been given birth to is worse than what ADC would have been. If what happened to ADC didn't happen, it would have been better for them. You know why? Because If, for instance, Atiku, who was always going to win that ticket, if he had gotten it, obedient, and Obi remains here, many of them would just vote for other people. Because, like I said, they are driven by ideology, and it's a movement, or there is a movement. The person they want is Obi. If Obi is not on the ballot, they are not interested. They can decide to vote for other people. So it would have been better if Obi had remained in ADC and Atiku won for APC. But right now, it's far more dangerous. And then with Kwankwaso, you know they wanted Kwankwaso by all means. Maybe they didn't do the negotiation. If the president had offered Kwankwaso either Senate president or vice president, if on that deal, none of this would have been happening.
Yes. You think so?
Yes, I know so. None of this would have happened. But there's an angle again that is going to play.
Let's hear.
I've talked about it here before.
Okay.
Like I say, I read and write, not just speak, although I don't look it. I read and write it fluently. I'm in 5 WhatsApp groups where I know that the houses and the houses are in the majority. They are the true majority in this country. There's a movement right now, and that's another very, very powerful movement. The houses are at war with the Fulanis right now. Serious war. You will see it can only get worse in the coming months and years to come. The Hausas have vowed that they will not vote for any ticket that has a Fulani man on it. Kwankwaso is Fulani. Obi is not informed. If he had courted, and so the houses, that is what we give him with the edge. The houses, rather than vote for Obi, hear what I'm saying very carefully, because of Kwankwaso, they will divide their votes with him. And that is what we give him.
Because they do not want to vote for it.
They will not vote for anything that has Fulani on it. Anything that has Fulani on it, they would rather vote for a dog.
So you think with the APC stand?
That is what APC the edge. With the House have vote, because anything that has Fulani on it, forget it. Anything that has Fulani on it, the House will not vote for it. Forget this. Take this from me. I'm telling you this. I'm giving you a well-informed position. I'm telling you. As I've vowed again, they in the same mosque. Led why in Abuja where they have an Igbo man as the chief imam of the national mosque. That was a truth. Because the houses and the Fulanis, the houses will not worship behind the Fulani man. They chose instead to put an Igbo man there. The chief imam of the mosque in Abuja is a Hausa man. He's an Igbo man. It's a compromise. So the Hausas went behind the Fulani man. They would not see eye to eye anymore. They cannot eat it all in the same room. It's going on quietly. For those who are following what I'm saying. So that might be what may work against you, unfortunately. So quickly, went to him, aligned and all that. It's a very crowded. commitment to power is not a wrong commitment. But if it's power for its sake or for primitive acquisition of wealth, then that's where something is wrong. But you need power first in order to be able to build institutions. For instance, my roads have been neglected for too long.
Okay.
Or the roads in my community, there are no rules and all that. For me to have a voice, I will go into politics. I need to get into office. When I get into office, then I have authority, I have power. Then I can implement and fix those bad roads.
Okay.
Okay. So the commitment to power, if it is staying in power just for its sake, is wrong. Building institutions should be the end game for grabbing power. But I'm afraid, and I think that's what your question is intended, the answer to the question is intended to get. It's, you know, they get in there, they want to remain there with zero idea about what to do, or just to remain there for its sake. There are people in the Senate who have been there for so long, they do not pass any bills, they are just there, sitting tight. They have been there for too long. You know, it's like as if there's no other person from their community. You might argue that in the US it may be like that, but these are people who have been there and who are actually making meaningful contributions. But we have so many people who are just occupying space, you know, and doing nothing.
I mean, 2027 election is just by the corner. Very, very close, and we're seeing all these things. You just made mention that NDC now stand a chance as as a strong opposition party. I mean, it used to be ADC, but now that Obi has left and Kwankwaso, you know, they've joined the ADC and it's just left with Atiku. Don't you think before Obi and Kwankwaso left the ADC, you know, they were contemplating on who to give, who would have the presidential ticket? Atiku is not stepping down, Obi is not stepping down. Well, don't you think if they had, you know, come to agreement and decided to, like, okay, we're giving this ticket to this person? Because Atiku made a statement where he said, if Obi wins, I'm going to support. And I think he said
Obi was not going to win. I told you that here before. There's no way. First, he does not give shishi.
So that's the reason why Obi left.
Yes, he left because there was no other way. Atiku is a master of primaries. Atiku, 9 primary school. Let me explain.
So you're sure
he has never
lost
any primary. Well, has he ever lost any primaries? Maybe the one in Jos during when was it now? He started contesting from Abiola's time. From Abiola's time.
He has been contesting for a very long time.
So he lost the one against Abiola in Jos. So he has been contesting since forever. But after that, man, Atiku has never lost any primaries. He has always been on the ballot. He will always be on the ballot.
So you think Obi has seen that Atiku would win?
There is no way now.
There's
no way he could have won. It's not possible.
And you made mention about Obi not giving shishi.
No, he won't give shishi now. You know that. He won't. They are not called obedience for nothing. They're not the hear words. They will not give shishi. You know? So they will vote and you won't give them shishi. If you give them shishi, they will still not vote for you. It will be or nothing. The same with the Kwankwasias. So that's it. So, and many of people who follow Atiku, many follow him because of his money. I remember the last election, he only did, he went as far as he did because the vice presidential candidate just carried the entire Delta State treasury and gave to him. You know, if you know the amount of money that they put behind him, you know, because of the presidential ticket, VP ticket. But he doesn't have that anymore. And his company that used to be at the port, the federal government has disabled him. That's his major source of income, his biggest source of income. So right now, Atiku himself not get shishi. And he doesn't have die-hard fanatics who will contribute to him from abroad. It's going to come from his pocket. How is he going to do it? He's not as buoyant as he used to be. He's still a rich man, no doubt. But not. This time, I think he's better advised to use his money to take care of. Let him just. Even his own house is in disarray right now. His children have left him and joined the APC.
Atiku has been contesting for a very long time.
Yes, there's a reason for it. He's marabout, or in English, in French you say marabout, in English you say marabout. Marabout. He's a seer. When he contested as governor then in, was it Gongola State? Before Gongola was broken into two, I think, or was it Adamawa? I can't remember. I think it told him he was not going to be. No. Adamawa was against with Obasanjo. That he wasn't going to be the governor. She should forget his president. But I will forget because because I want don't but he cannot. That's why Atiku cannot step down for anybody, even if he wanted to. He can't sit. He can't contest for anything else. He can't.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Victor Ohai. 2027 is just by the corner. Let's keep our fingers crossed to see what happens. I mean, Nigerians will want the best.
Obviously.
Okay, thank you all our viewers for joining our Lagos Network studio this beautiful morning on CMI. I am Resilina Unko. We'll be handing over to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on CMI. Just stay with us.
But we're taking over from the Abuja studio right here because a whole lot of things are really going down with the 2027 fast approaching. The major gladiators have started their game work. The mathematics is already on play. And also looking at how far they can go in ensuring they dislodge the party. With the gale of the recorded last night right there in the National Assembly, questions are being asked about what's going to happen to ADC and also with the new bride. And joining me on WhatsApp there is no other Dr. Chibi. Wonderful Dr. Chinedu. Thank you so much for more showing the national and with the members moving to NDC, while Leke Abejide of Kogi State decided to join APC. Are you surprised with what transpired in the National Assembly yesterday?
That is not yet ruled, and if you like, all the politicians can move into one party. Anything can happen, and you find a reversal. So, game of defection is, something expected around this time, particularly with the heated situation, the intrigues, and all that. The tendency that people will be moving until they find their comfort zone.
Interesting right there. But one thing that seems to be uppermost on my mind, What is the future of ADC in the light of this? This is just a party that's just coming up, bringing together gladiators in the political landscape together. All of a sudden, it seems a new bride that a lot of people thought it would be. And what do you think will happen to ADC? Do you see them staging a dramatic comeback?
I don't think it is so. Yes, I said it is such a large thing. But remember there was a party called NDC. Yeah. You can see that it's like NDC is the new bride. You never can tell what will happen tomorrow. It could be the NRM, it could be any other party. What is driving this is positioning. People, politicians are trying to find comfort zones where they can, achieve their own interests. ADCS looks very attractive before now, being that all the opposition parties, all the gladiators think around what happened in 2023 election, have the Atiku, UP, and so in one. For me, it was a big mistake of the APC having to put all these guys in one. If we thought the opposition could not meet, and all of them find themselves in ADC, that election would have decided before 10 a.m. But what is happening now is like ADC is fast losing grip. The number of defections that have happened away from it, and most likely those that will happen in the coming days, shows clearly that ADC is not that sweet bride it was some days ago.
Let's look at the political calculation. Do you think ADC showed their hand too fast or too early?
Well, I like elements of surprise in politics when you unleash your entire ass now at the same time. Don't forget as you're planning, or that are planning a strategy. When all you have at the 10 is that opportunity to. I think that was what happened to the Celestine 2, where in that room gradually we spring up surprises. When it to be too late. He asked me whether it should be table now. I'm not a soothsayer, but I see a situation where maybe the coming days it might be stable. Stable in the sense that you recall that after the Labour Party got stable, and maybe that same thing might happen in APC, because I'm sure those who are praying that they scatter are scared that if you have these gladiators in one party, there'll be a problem.
Interesting right there. Now the new bride that everybody seems to be moving to is NDC. Few hours ago, let's say 48 hours ago, nobody was talking about NDC. All of a sudden, it seems to be the new place. Peter Obi is likely moving to that place, or probably there. And we also have Kwakwaso also being linked up with NDC. Do you think NDC might really be able to be the party that probably might give the populace an opportunity to give a challenge to the ruling party? Do you foresee that situation?
Well, it's a continuous movement from Labour Party to ADs to NDC. I pray it stops in NRM, the National Rescue Movement, which is actually the party was designed to rescue Nigeria. All these other attempts to look for rescue in places where rescue don't exist is a worry to me. In 2017, we registered a political party called National Rescue Movement. We realized that Nigeria has so much of resources in terms of human capital, in terms of material capital, and leadership has been absent. That we needed to be a party that's in rule of law, where the country will be peaceful and productive and have what we call shared prosperity. But I'm surprised maybe those who are looking for rescue have not looked around the law of rescue, where we have a blueprint that actually speaks to rescue Nigeria. Maybe it will be the last bus stop, because I see a continuous movement until a rallying point where we will need to do what we need to do. But I wish NDC well, because as a political party myself, or as a leader for a political party myself, I want to wish everybody what I wish myself. But I think if they come to NRM, I'll be more happy.
Interesting right there, talking about NRM. But that brings us to a major issue of ideology. We've seen instances where political juggernautes are jockeying from one party to the other. And it brings us to what it used to be back. Yesterday, I talked about the fact that in some parts of the country, in the first republic, some identify with a particular party because of the ethos of the party, which they can identify with. Same thing happens in the Third Republic, that when we are the NDP and NRC. But now, in the Fourth Republic, the reverse is the case. People don't have ideologies anymore. People are not ready to build. More acting like boys. What is really happening with our politicians?
I agree with you if you like 99%, because conviction is what drives political followership. Conviction around the ideology. What is it that you're bringing to the table? Democracy is that alternative. And alternative, what are you eligible to mention? Are you a conservative or a liberal? Are you a Republican Democrat? There has to be something like. Well, I think that is now absent, and it looks completely absent. But I am not one of those who think that there are no. Almost every political party in Nigeria, what you call, I think, from Chapter 2 of the Constitution, which is the directive principle of state policy, where we look at things that we need to deliver to Nigerians. Almost every political party look at that. Some are progressive, some are conservative. But the central point is that and so we should not let this way instead of to have it for us. The freedom people have been beneficiating in went to primary school in those states, and those states was within the region covered by a group. And if you notice the ACNC, they were talking about economic commerce, which is what you find that the drivers of the area market is used today, the main market, and all those commerce centers you find in the east. So people who are voting because this is what they offer. The NCNC, the NEPU, Northern Elements Progressive Union, which is the current PRP you have today. We're talking about education of the Talakawas. You know, they want to upgrade the status of the Talakawas. So when you're voting based on ideology. But today, it seems that most people are more interested in power grab. But I can assure you, my party, the National Rescue Movement, is totally ideology based, which is why you find it difficult, even in our recruitment of persons, or even people moving from NRM to any other party. Because our says we have a lot of potential. A social justice system where you can govern a society based on rule of law for peace, because if you do a peaceful environment, if you obey your rules and laws, you're more likely to create a peaceful environment. Then, if you're peaceful in a country as productive as Nigeria, as resourceful as Nigeria, the country will be productive. And then you have a productive society that can now share its prosperity. That is our own ideology. It defines everything we do. Whatever decision has to follow rule of law, it has to follow process and procedure. NRM is the only party that woke up one morning and suspended its founder because he moved away from the governing principles of the party. It's what drives political party principles, ideology, what people can see to recognize people, what people will be voting for. Are we voting for? And imagine today you don't know whether we're a free economy or there's all sorts of things happening within the same system. But I think if Nigerians have been given a real ideological line where you know that this is your voting for, you will not even be disappointed if persons stick that thing they have promised to the people. But today, what is regret is because you don't know what they actually have for us. It's just about power grab. That's why those who don't even care about the ideology of the party they are moving to, all their interested is that want to kind of occupy power. That is not what we do in the national scheme.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor. Well, you just said something very salient that we can't shy away from, talking about power grab. Do you think the issue about power grabbing could also be a reflection of the society, where people are moving because they just... Do you also think it's a reflection of the society?
Yeah, every society gets the kind of leadership it deserves, that has become a consciousness, unfortunately, in our system where the end justifies the means. Today, you find out that people see axis and your face is not the one doing this and that. Not minding how this is. There's a new shift in our orientation, which is the end justifies the means. People don't care about how they get into power for as long as they get in there. It's a very unfortunate consciousness that's entered our system that I think we need to deal with reorientation. Because it's about grabbing power. Okay, look at the APC. I was a founding member of the APC. What we promised Nigerians was that the CDP government was emasculating us. But what you ask yourself today, were we better under Jonathan in 2015 than we are after 11 years of APC government? The answer, you know clearly. In fact, many people are now wishing we even go back to Buhari, not to talk of Jonathan that was like heaven.
Interesting right there, talking about what is really happening right there, and also looking at events unfolding right there. Now, as we are looking towards 2027, and also with the gale of defections we witnessed yesterday, what the ruling party has always been selling to us from the onset has always been, from the onset they told us they are going to do away with fuel subsidy, they were going to restore power, they will improve security. Some of their proponents have been arguing that to a certain extent, they've been able to improve the lot of Nigerians through improved security. Do you agree with some of the things they are saying that will make us think this is the party in 2027 to vote for?
I do not totally agree with that. Like, you see, economics operates at macro and micro level. At macro level, you can speak all the grammar of how the numbers are very good, but what determines what the average person on the street says is the micro. If these good numbers have not come down, what are you talking about? If you're talking about improved security, and today people can't go to farm, what security are you improving? When you have more IDP camps in Nigeria than you have in countries that are fighting war. So it's not about this good rhetoric. It's not about the good numbers, the consultant documents. We're talking about what you feel on ground. Like I just asked you, were you better in 2015 than you were now? You're a salary earner. You probably got 30,000 minimum wage, or you didn't get it. Today you have 50,000 minimum wage. Were you better with 30,000 then, or with the 70,000 today? The 70,000 can't even buy a bag of rice. So when you discuss economics, for me, I look at it from how human beings operate within the system. How the poor man deals with little money he gets. Does he even have access to getting 1 naira? So if he does, can that 1 naira take him back to his house? These are the questions that if you ask, and the answers are yes, then you can tell me the economy is good. The president himself said to you himself, he didn't talk through a proxy, that if I don't give you power, don't vote for me. That was his own words. Have we got power? His spokesperson the other day session has not come. Now, if power did not come in 3 years, if it comes in 1 year, that would be a miracle, and I think I'd like to see.
I'm sorry to say, probably you will be in dreamland if you see that happens. If something could not happen in 3 years, can it happen under 1 year? You definitely need to go to see Disney.
Nigerians believe in miracles so much, but
okay, Nigerians like miracles.
Yeah, but you know a Good Friday from a Wednesday.
Exactly, right there. But now let's look at what we are looking towards 2027. NGC is in the discussion. NRC, which is also the national chairman, is also not out of the discussion. Though we don't even know who is going to be your presidential candidate at this point in time. What do you think opposition can offer that will make Nigeria, besides the fact that so many of us can see what is happening? The numbers are being branded around by the ruling government of what they have been able to achieve within the last 3 years. But what do you think the opposition can sell to Nigeria, besides what is obvious to us, that could make us think they are different from what they have been? Because when you look at all the politicians, they are cut from the same cloth.
Well, I think in this same studio, I have argued that Nigerians should not even be bothered about the movement of people, even if all the political parties, all the Nigerian politicians decide to enter one party. The reason is that my simple analysis is that all the political class in Nigeria, their families and friends are less than 3% of our population. So I'm always worried about what the Nigerians think. And of course, you can now see at one point, when the governors were defecting, Nigerians were even scared of a possible one-party state. But what after ADC came, and we now realized it couldn't be possible to think about one-party system now. Okay, ADC had come. What did this show to us? It shows to us that every political party in Nigeria is as strong as the other. The difference is who has moved into it. What seems to have defined political parties is that if you call heavyweight, those who have had access to our resources in the past, they have a lot of resources to show Nigerians. Unfortunately, that's what Nigerians see as making a party thick or small. Because who would have talked about ADC 2 weeks ago, if not that our guys are now moving in there? You know, so it could be any other party. My point is that it's not too early to say, oh, the opposition is prepared or nobody is prepared. I'm begging Nigerians to be the ones prepared themselves, so that if on the last day the parties we expect to give us credible candidates don't give us, we can look at other parties who have not mentioned their name, like I always mentioned to you, the National Rescue Movement. If you find a good Nigerian on the 97% can turn around and go and vote for him, and you can change it, because elections are about numbers, and the numbers are more on those who are not political party members, and those who are not even politicians in the party. 97% of us, either in the private sector, either in the business world, the academic world, who are not even politicians. The average Nigerian farmer, the trader, everybody. I think that these are people who should now participate effectively to take us away from where these politicians are driving us, so that we can move into a direction that can speak to Nigerians based on what someone has to offer, and not the heavyweights that we always hear. So I think going to 2027, the opposition may look unprepared, may look prepared, but the people I call to get more prepared are the Nigerians who are the receiving end, who should check this political class, this movement. Is it personal? Is it for Nigeria? If it is not for Nigeria, we should look for parties that present to Nigerians what we think would be good for us and vote them. This has been my attitude. And I've played with the media. You guys shape opinions. Don't always show Nigerians party where one big man has entered. Show them the National Rescue Movement. Show them the other parties that we have, until recently, 19. Now we have additional 3. We're almost 22. So let them see the other parties. Who are in them? What do they offer Nigeria? So that Nigerians themselves can be the ones to take the decision. So that we can begin to cut our political class to size.
Interesting. Some of the points you have raised are valid and are germane to the future of democracy in this country. But the question also is about structure. When you talk about your own party, National Rescue Movement, people ask about structure. What is the structure of National Rescue Movement that can be able to salvage the situation of Nigerians? Another issue that is also on the other hand also has to do with the fact that 2027 may likely be about the quality of candidate, not the political party you are going to be. What about the quality of candidate, which is also important, and it cannot be swept under the carpet? What are the quality of candidate we have that if him can deliver Nigeria? These are the questions Nigerians are asking. Even your own party, people want to know, what is the quality of the candidate you have?
I will come to your question of structure. Okay. But let me address the last one you said, the quality of candidate. I think that should be the emphasis. Not even the party. Because if you get the right party, what you call right party, and you have the wrong candidate, you can't give what you don't have. So we need to look at, interrogate the candidates of all the political parties. I plead with the media, don't just focus on PDP, APC, Labour, because you had one big man or two in them. Look at all the other political parties. Who are their presidential aspirants? Who are their presidential candidates? Interrogate them. Finding some of those parties you don't have people who have stolen our money, who have had access to our resources, but who can give better alternatives to Nigeria. Then coming back structure, yes, structure is very important, but the structure you talk about are human beings. And I've told you, the political class does not have more structure than the Nigerian people, who are more in number. And before 2023 election, everybody was like, oh no, Labour Party, they don't have structure. You can see that person who is using the history now will no longer have what you call structure. Yes, the party should be structured. It's not have members across have leadership across the country. The National Rescue Movement is the only party that has political structure, only unit. We have leadership of party, polling unit, ward, local government, zonal, and federal.
Interesting right there. Talking about you addressing some of these major points, and I'm really happy to see how it's going to pan out right there. But also, what is also worrisome also has to do with looking forward to talking about 2027 and also looking at the, you mentioned people follow big guns, people who have helped them to the national resources to be able to pull. Can we get to where can you look at how Peter Obi will build a cultist kind of followership on the social media right here, investment in information, dissemination of information, and selling the candidate? How come it's difficult for any other candidate to be able to sell themselves that same way? Kushi was able to do that, because that's one question we must also be able to address, because we see what happens in America, how our parties seek support to be able to actualize their dream and their aim, because you know democracy is expensive. For anybody who wants to prove a point that he has what it takes, he also must find the needed resources to be able to galvanize the country. This is one major issue that most oppositions have not really been able to get to the bottom of. That's why you see statistics, people rush to follow a particular candidate or the other. How do we address this? How do an unknown candidate get the needed resources to campaign to ensure that it gets to the nooks and crannies of this country in the bid to get the recognition? How do we actualize this?
It's actually a huge challenge because we have a mass society that already has a mindset. I think the only two people who I don't know whether it's grace or whether, of course, maybe their experience of based on what they've done when they were governors, talking about people who drive the obedience movement, about people who drive the movement here. These are the only two organic movements in Nigeria that, if you're even talking about resources, I'm not sure it is the money that almost or people put on the ground that drives their members. But it's just that over time, people have related with their lifestyle, their ability to what they were able to do when they had opportunity, and they feel that this is the person that can pull. I think that this is even the one that will define future politics in Nigeria, where people realize that you need every opportunity you have. You need to demonstrate to Nigerians that you are someone they can remember. I come from a state called Imo. Imo has had so many governors, but there's this governor nobody forgets, Mbakwe. Yes. He was even an opposition governor. But today, even people who are elected find a way of legitimizing themselves by going to look for one Mbakwe son to give an appointment. So people should begin to think about leaving legacies. Taking every opportunity you have to improve the lives of the people. The people are not idiots, they're not mad, they know when you have done very well. I think that's what some of these movements are. So I think about politics, and sometimes we'll get to a point where it's not about how much you have stolen, how much you're willing to unleash, but that people have felt your leadership. People have believed in you. In fact, that is what you even will call ideology. But CNI is more like an ideology. Obedience movement is more like an ideology. So I think we need to create such kind of things so that people will begin to follow a vision. What is it in these places or in these people that make people organically follow them? Organically. They don't remember, I think it was the obedience movement last year that was celebrating Peter Obi's birthday across Nigeria without the man putting his own money. So our political class should learn that each time you elected a councillor, a governor, a House of Rep member, a House of Assembly member, you must demonstrate empathy for the people, capacity to govern the people, improve the lives of the people. When you do, people will always pay you. These experiences are now showing to us that you will have reward. There are some politicians who have been in power that when they stand up today, nobody will follow them because of their last back. So, for me, I think this is the thing we need to celebrate in our democracy today, that even though everything seems to be very bad, there could still be one or two examples that we can key into.
Interesting right there, Dr. Obi. I like your father has been able to shed light on so many things right there. We just hope, just like you said, which we should focus on building legacy and also putting, because those are some of the things. But when you talk about this, one name that readily comes to mind is Showore. Showore has the popularity, but it's not getting the vote of the people. How do you just oppose that before I let you go, Dr. Chinedu?
Well, there's a difference between popularity, notoriety, and activism. The people, you could be popular for one reason. People fix you where if it is somebody who is going to come and fight for releasing someone, people will look for Shiore, they will look for a very dark man.
Yeah.
That might not be what they want to look for when they need somebody to take them to church or when they need somebody to take them to become governor or president. There are two different things. Everybody has what he brings to the table. I think what Shiore has brought to the table is mass mobilization for fighting for human rights. Well, I refer to him, it is not just today. He was a student union activist in the University of Lagos and has continued in that trajectory to today. He came up with the Sahara Reporters that finds a way to unravel some hidden secrets in high places. So he has his own value. You can't take that away from him. But that is not exactly translated to governance. They're two different things. In fact, I think time has come when Nigerians should find out where their strengths and capacity lies and put more energy in that. Shiore might be a good activist, but not be a good governor. And I can assure you, most activists are not best governors. We have seen them in the past where you give the opportunity to lead, they don't really lead as much, So people should be used where their strengths and capacity apply. For me, Shiore is doing very well in the area where he's doing. There's not complete leadership. Maybe that's why Nigerians really don't think he deserves their vote.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinedu, for joining us this morning and for talking about it. We wish your party, National Rescue Movement, all the best in 2027 election. Hopefully, we can get to know the candidate you'll be presenting for the presidential election. Sorry, we lost Dr. Chinedu. Will be right there. We would have loved to know what candidate they will be putting forward 27 presidential election. But it's been nice talking to him right there and looking at the scale of defection and also looking at 2027 election, what it will mean for an average Nigerian. Do we have a say in who becomes the next president of Nigeria? All right. But we're looking into 2027 election with bated breath and see how things will pan out. So much from the Abuja studio right there. We shall be linking now with our Benin studio as the conversation on this Morning on Itv continues.
All right, thank you one more time. The program still on your television on Independent TV. Now, we are still talking about the two political parties now. Now, funny enough, we're seeing these two political parties already rivaling themselves, and they plan to rival the ruling party. I don't know how that is going to look like.
It's like a rebirth of the NDC. So we'll take a look at the implication in the forthcoming election. Because I've been talking about it. For some members to defect from the ruling party to the NDC, that is a lot. It's a lot. Well, all is there.
You are so so concerned about the numbers that we have now.
At least we begin to have a level playing field, so to speak.
Anyway, we've got two gentlemen this morning. They are joining us via Zoom from Benin. So we're going to be talking about the rebirth of the NDC and, of course, the implication is going to be having for next year's election. We'd like to bring Colin Samadi, an essay to the Edo State government on social media. Mr. Collins, a very good morning to you. Collins Amadi, good morning. Okay. All right, so we have Elvis Brown is also joining us virtually this morning from Benin. Elvis, good morning. Mr. Elvis, good morning. Elvis, good morning. Okay. All right. So we'll get them soon. Now, Wisdom Marshall, you know, for a political party, I'm talking about the NDC now, because the leadership structure that we have for the party, we understand it's just for the interim, you know. There's supposed to be a national convention before next year's election. Now, little wonder if that national convention is going to bring another major setbacks, because, you know, when these parties come on board, it is at the national convention where leadership structure is supposed to, you know, come from. That's where the problem starts. So this party now, it just came on board, and quickly people, you know, they are trying to take the party off and all that. So don't you think that by the time they now have their national convention, and of course a new leadership structure emerges, is going to also meet another big problem for the party?
Yes, you're making a very big point, Evans, but I believe that the guests right now, they are ready.
Okay.
I don't know, Collins, are you there? Can you hear us? Can you please unmute yourself so we can hear you properly? Collins, are you there?
From your camera there, I'm here.
All right, thank you so much, Collins. Elvis, also please respond if you can hear the sound of our voice. Unmute yourself, please. Elvis, are you there?
I can't see your visual.
All right, we can hear you. So Evans, please, I think you should take it up from here because of the first question. That should be for, yes, Elvis.
Elvis, we have you. Nice to know that you're with us this morning. And of course, your party has is the latest now when we talk about political parties in the country, the NDC, that's the National Democratic Congress. Now, like what I was trying to discuss with Wisin on set here, that the leadership structure that we have now seems to be only for the interim. Now, we understand that there's going to be a national convention before next year's election. So don't you think that that national convention is going to mean woes for the party? I mean, we are trying to, you know, judge from where we are coming from in politics in the country.
Problems other political parties. Some of us have been in other. I've been in Labour Party before I moved to NDC, so we understand the challenges that most of these parties have. So we have learned from other people's mistakes. It is only important for us to now use their mistakes to perfect our party. So we are not going to have issues at that convention. Everything is going to work out perfectly, because over here, what we are aiming at is to serve the country. And because of that, selfishness is not at play in this political party. Born to rule mentality, you know, winners take it all mentality, everything that will bring about jeopardizing the party has been taken care of. And so the party is going to come out of this Congress successful, better, and well positioned to win in a landslide in 2027. That's what I think it's about. Yeah, anybody, you know, it's okay to think that we're going to have problems because of what we are seeing in other political parties. It's okay to think that there will be division. It's okay to think that they will be frustrated and have a lot of problems arising from this convention. But that's not what is going to happen, because we've been able to nail those issues. We've been able to tell ourselves some hard truth, and we've been able to come together and harmonize. Harmonization has helped us to put at rest everything that would have created problems for us after the convention. So you're not going to have all that after that. What you're going to have is a party that's well positioned to go into an election and deliver results to the Nigerian people. And that's why you see that a lot of persons want to come into the party. And don't forget that we're also very careful of how we have, you know, we have met people into the party. People from political parties that we know that all they have known all their life is trouble, trouble, trouble. And so we are being very careful about that. There are people who want to come and say, wait, hold on. Go and resign from a political party, and let's see why you are leaving before you come into our party. It's not just about saying, oh, there's a new party now, oh, there's your B-Wave, oh, they have 15 million registration. I want to be part of it. That's not what it's about. It is about ensuring that, when you come in, you contribute to the growth, development of the party, and overall to the service of Nigeria, the transformation of our dear country. That's what the party is about.
Thank you so much, Elvis. Now let's move over to Collins. Collins, should the APC be afraid because of the rebirth of the NDC after there was a defection in the National Assembly where some 7 members of the National Assembly defected to the NDC? Should the APC be afraid?
Listeners and viewers all over the world. To go straight to your question, it's quite unfortunate that we have always deceived. Now I overheard my brother say millions of people are already trooping in, and those are false. Yes, we understand that they went to ADC, they divided ADC as usual. It's normal. And now he's just telling you, for example, they will select people they are going to admit in a democratic system. And these are people who want to come and rescue democracy, who want to come and entrench democracy in the country. And now you want to select people that will come in. You want to know that you just joined the party about 4 days ago. Then you are now the one that already owns it. These are what we are saying. And it is why should APC jettison itself about such a conglomerate of friends or associates who are political organizers who really have nothing to offer apart from one take dominance? Okay, you just came to a party that you just came in few ago. You are coming and declaring yourself as a candidate, and you also came with a running mate. That is what we are saying. People were never there before. Where is the influence? For example, because he you can't choose to be, and in your action, you are. We are saying, MC really have about because the had a system that he had to rebuild over all the system, including economy, the security, infrastructure, and what have you. The evidence are there. Review it. Nigeria to vote. Social medias are not to vote. Not this. I think I was listening to a sister station ago. They had meeting in France. They had meeting in Germany, where they have prepared how they are going to make sure the new party works. And what are they propelling? Propaganda. When people register, they tell you million already, just to push people, drive people, and make assumptions. When nothing will always collapse. This is a solidified theory, and there is nothing anybody can do about that but to help trend so that we can have a rebate that we have yearned for, a revision in all of the sector that we give the kind of Nigeria we yearn for. Not a party they always use an up. You just wait now. After the primaries, half of them will up. The few that will be left will be engulfed with accountability crisis, which is part of the one that is always carrying people to drive up and went into ADC, for example. You see where it came from. You tell you want to be the presidential candidate. You also went to sort for who wants to be your running mate, which is Kwankwansia. And you brought him and said, you people are now okay. Oh, Kwankwansia. Okay. So it's two of you that both Atiku, Amechi, all of them, who even went there before you, will now come and bow down for you. Like how? Are you a magic? What magic have you done before? Were you able to build the state you come from? Or any young man running on your scholarship in Nigeria today? Or is there any philanthropic gesture you have been doing? Is there empowerment? What have you doing? Or have you been resourceful that you are training Nigerian youth? You are apart from when it comes to election and probably maybe pastor The voodoo man that helps you will tell you about the powder. Just go, everybody will like you. And at the end of the day, you end up not having.
All right, Colin Samadi. Now, Elvis Brown, if you are still there, the next question is going to be directed to you. Now, the speed at which your political party came on board, it's somehow deserves some questions. I mean, most political analysts are trying to look at the formation of your party. I mean, it was as if some political, analysts knew what was going to happen. I watched the news whereby 2 days prior to when Peter Obi and Kwangwaso came on board to come into your party, we saw the speed at which the leadership structure, even in Edo State, the speed at which they came. But you and I know that time is of the essence in any political arrangement. As we speak now, we have less than 2 months before the primaries are expected to be conducted among the political parties that are going to be fielding candidates for this next election. Now, the question we are asking is, this time factor, don't you think is going to be a major setback for the NDC?
Well, thank you very much for that. I like the speed at which my brother, was analyzing the NDC. It appears to me like he knows the NDC more than he knows the APC. He is more concerned about the NDC than he's concerned about the APC. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. In 2023, they said more than this. We are just 3 months to prepare. And at the end of the day, we won a lot of senators out of Rep, out of Assembly, and we are producing a governor. The government will tell you that if those elections were free, fair, credible, then definitely the story would have been different today. But that is another story for another day. And what I do not
talking about the time factor, I think a lot of politicians are concerned about that now because they are trying to look at the time permutation.
Yeah.
Like what I was trying to say, that between now until about June, July, most political parties are expected to have been done with their primaries and submit their names to INEC and all that. Now we have to political juggernauts, Kwangwaso, and of course Peter Obi.
And that is the next question I want to throw to Collins.
Okay.
Collins, if you know we're having issues with Elvis Brown's connection, but Collins, we have 2 heavyweights, because that's a question I want to throw at you. In the NDC right now that are well known in Nigerian politics, we're talking about Peter Obi and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. Don't you think that with these heavyweights, NDC will be a viable opposition to the APC?
Now, let me tell you, when you say heavyweight, is Peter Obi more heavier weight than Atiku? Has Peter Obi ever won any primary in life? In Abga, as a governor, he was adopted. And ever since, he had the philosophy of adoption. Now, has he ever garnered any vote in any presidential election that has seeded Atiku? No, that means Atiku is still heavier than him. Now, is Peter Obi more heavier weight, whether by experience or by service in the country than Amechi? No. Has Peter Obi garnered the experience David Mark has gathered? No. Arego Salah? No. That means even the ADC that is already crumbling on the ground still have more heavier weight than the so-called NDC. You are just talking about people, you are talking about over 20-something percent experience and have capital to throw around when it comes to elections, probably from the money they have accumulated before. So they have done as an opposition, which is good and fine for us, is split themselves. They have, because when election is actually and program of grace have a way of making themselves because of greed. Everybody wants to be greedy. If genuinely they are patriotic as claim, why don't they say it must not be new bread after them who have been a galvanizer, who have been a political trader? Why? Are you kidding? They are talking about young people that have not tested on this election in government that they will bring on board. No, let's forget about them. They are just traders. They want to look for businessmen to collect as usual, like what they did in labor. Now they talked about labor. What the advantage they had then in labor with equal that was living, that did not want his friend to succeed him. That wanted to divide out as much as he can. That wanted to split the whole thing as much as he can, thinking that the man he used to be the father-in-law when the daughter was marrying, former President Buhari, would win. He wanted to win. I am a party man, and I am saying this emphatically because I have been a player. But unfortunately, destiny and God did not program it the way He programmed it. That was why invariably all His ministers did anti-party to support opposition, using the state apparatus to support opposition. But that is not something that we should emphasize on. But what I am kidding and these guys are joker. They are not very serious people. When they are serious, we will know.
Collins, yeah, Collins, I want to, quickly, bring your attention to something, that has to do with when you were trying to ask the question whether Peter Obi has ever won any primary election. I think that is not too correct. But away from that now, let us quickly look at something that may also interest you. Now, I know somehow that a lot of persons are trying to fault these political characters because of the way they leave political parties and all that. But you will recall that even the man you speak for, I'm talking about the president now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is also not separated from this. I mean, I would take your mind back to the era of AD. Tinubu was a formidable member of the AD. And of course, from AD, he moved to SDP. From SDP, he moved to PDP. From PDP, he moved to AC. From AC, he moved to ACN. From ACN, eventually, he now stopped at the APC. So you see that it is almost something, a character, among with our politicians. So I think we also need to look at that. But from what we are looking at is that the APC government now, don't you think a lot of Nigerians are so dissatisfied with the way this government has been for the past 4 years? And don't you think that those factors will count for any formidable opposition party that may come on board?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I want to be sure you are hearing me.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, your network seems to be this morning, but in as much as you can hear me, let me get you very corrected. The president never decamped from one party to another. What you ever saw with AD, he was a governor of AD, built AD to the peak that he can. Even when Obasanjo decided to demystify AD, he remained with AD. AD metaphors into ACN. It was metaphosing. Then from outside that, ACN metaphors into AP, while some other disclosed persons in the other part were abandoned, came for rescue, and says, let us imagine that network is really
issues with network there, but if we have,
let's get to see if we have Brown. Brown, are you there?
Elvis Brown, are you still there?
Yeah, with you.
He said that Kwankwaso and of course Peter Obi, they are not heavyweights. When you talk about Nigerian politics, he talked about Atiku Alhaji Atiku Abubakar being a heavier weight than this duo. And people are like saying that what transpired in the last election might just repeat itself in this election because of the split, so to speak, of some members from the ADC into NDC. What do you have to say about that?
Listen, you see, if what he's saying is true, then why have they been jittery? Why have they been attacking the Labour Party? Every political party that Peter Obi goes to, why have they been attacking the party? If what he said was true, why are they so concerned about the NDC? Why does he suddenly know so much about the NDC? Within the party, than he knows about his own party, the APC. That was not true. Listen, why is he so sure that these people that in terms of party, the NPP, for his party, the Labour Party. They are coming together. We don't know anything. Now, these people that he's saying that do not have political today. I mean, because for sure that these guys position president. If this now, they're going to challenge the legality of the NDC. When so, it is because of this there. So, I mean, this thing since last year, most of them have challenged NDC in court. But into that party, the party has to now go to court to prove that it was legally registered. When that is because the party is not a threat to the whatever is a threat to the NDC is something to take care of. They have to put confusion and destabilize the party. I can tell you that this election will be better than the last one. But in 2027, we see
hear what you are saying. We can barely hear what you are saying. There seems to be serious distortion in the network.
Yes. Yeah. Now, we're seeing, you know, I'm so concerned about the eminent crisis that is going to come up. Let me say it's going to come up, that may come up. Now, just on one of the newspapers, this just came out about 2 hours ago, whereby the chairman of the NDC in Kano State has refused to hand over the party structure to former Kano State governor. That's Rabiu Kwangwaso. So you can imagine where the whole crisis is going to come from. And that was the question I asked a while ago. Now, there's no doubt that the party is new. And of course, we have these new big political bigwigs coming into the party. They will want to take hold of the party structure, and that's where the problem starts from. Now, is the NDC going to have enough of this time to go through that political imbroglio, to go through the national convention that they are supposed to have before the election, and to now eventually settle for a candidate? You know, meanwhile, they have a bigger fight, and that's wrestling with the Orolina Progressive Congress. You know, so I don't know.
Take a look at the situation right now as it stands. Definitely, a political party must surely have their own issues. I just wish I would have.
Yeah, those issues. Those are the issues that that the political parties had issues with. Now, when ADC came on board, they had leadership problem. Remember why the case had to go to court? Because of the leadership problem. Now, even as we speak now, they are not done with the leadership problem. It's only that it has just been suspended. It is still there. I mean, the Supreme Court had to revert back to the Federal High Court ruling and all that. So you can see that all these issues are within the party. And of course, if the party is having this issue and they want to contest, you know.
But the thing is that if we want to go with what Elvis said, he said they are very careful about who they allow into the party, that they've seen what happened to the political parties, and they are careful enough to make sure that those things do not come up. But he said 2 hours ago in Kano State,
in Kano State,
to hand over the structure. But the question now is,
it's on today's Premium Times.
Premium Times. But the question now is, you can be the chairman, whether you hand over structure or not. You understand it? Kwankwaso and Obi seems to be right now the Anthony, the NDC. I'll just be able to find out a way to just go around it. But the trouble that they're having there, the trouble that they'll be having there might not be as tough as that of the ADC and of course the PDP.
The only and perhaps the biggest trouble that political parties do have is leadership trouble. With that single trouble alone, such a party cannot stand.
Well, it's like Tolu have a thing or two to say about this particular issue. Tolu, are you there? Okay. Elvis, can you hear us, Elvis?
Loud and clear. I can hear you loud and clear.
Hours ago, according to the Premium Times, the chairman in Kano talking about the NDC refusing to hand over the structure to Kwakwaso and of course Peter. We don't think there is trouble brewing right now in the NDC.
No, that's not the trouble. They have refused to hand over the structure, doesn't mean trouble. Eventually, there will be Congress. Congress, who is not going to be the leaders of the party in Kano State, they will be elected. So that's an issue that will be resolved in Congress. So what somebody hands over is of no consequence. So that also has no impact on the structure in Nigeria. I can tell you, we say that you guys will see at the end of the day that the NDC will come strong and better. Right down to ferment because it is a big so at the end of the day, the two of them were presidential and vice candidate respectively. And those of us who are contesting under them will be so that structure is only temporal. The structure that will lead the party into the election, and that structure will be decided at the Congress. So let him hold it. As long as they want to hold it, we will get the Congress. We will let we can trust.
Thank you so much, Elvis. Thank you. I know you have so much to say, but network isn't really friendly this morning. But all the same, it's like we have to call it a wrap. Maybe when we have these guys in the studio, they really have enough time to express themselves.
Yeah, like what I'm trying to say here, I just pray that all these pockets of issues, I mean, it's too early. A party that's only 3-4 days old.
No, not 3-4 days. Just the rebirth of the party. They've been there since 2017.
No matter how you want to say it.
They've been there since 2017. Don't forget that.
I don't know why you have this sympathy for NDC.
Look, I don't have sympathy for any political party. Just do the right thing.
Whether you like it or not, I think the greatest challenge that NDC has now is they should be able to handle the situation so that it doesn't blow out of proportion. I mean, the Congress is already, he wants to take over the party structure. And of course, the leadership of the party structure is saying no, that hey, before you came, we had leaders here. I mean, even if we've not had the national convention now, and that is where the problem is going to start.
We'll continue this discussion later, Evans, because I know you have sympathy for the ADC.
I don't. Anyway, we'll just take a short pause now for the news updates at 9:30. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to the news update on Independent Television. I am Echo Davis. Mother of Ogenemene Ogidi was who was allegedly murdered by ASP Nuhu Usman in Efurun, Delta State. Stella Ogige has described her son's death as a big blow to the family and sued for proper investigation and prosecution of those behind the heinous crime. Warri correspondent Benga Ahmed, who visited the residence of the slain youth, reports.
It was a gloomy and pathetic situation at the residence of late Oganemine Ogidi grandfather's house, where the late deceased mother's Stella Ogidi resides after the unfortunate incident occurred. Mourners gather to sympathize with the family. Narrating her ordeal, mother of late slain youth Stella Ogidi said life has not been the same since the incident happened, and called for justice for her late son's death.
Because it's not easy for me, because my pikin before, he get many plans for me, but now life not that easy for me. Now just by the grace of God, not to sit down here like this. May they not leave me like this. I said, may Nigeria come out, may they help me so that may justice fit prevail.
Grandfather of the deceased, Elder Ofoje Philip, elder brother of the deceased, Fitri Ogidi, and some members of the family appealed to the appropriate authorities to investigate the murder of their son.
And see, they told them that we want justice because this boy is a magician. Even record very soon he will come out.
Calling on the federal government and police authority to give us justice. They have deprived our brother the right to life. They should not deprive us from the right to pursue justice also.
I want government to fight for this for us, to bring this driver out, this Oniru driver.
Meanwhile, the police force headquarters disclosed that following the conclusion of internal disciplinary procedure against officers found culpable in the killing of Mine Ogidi, the Police Service Commission has ratified recommendations for dismissal and forwarded their case file to the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation for Vetting and Prosecution. From Warri, Benga Ahmed, ITV News.
The ongoing strike by the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities have started to take its toll on the operations in federal universities. However, checks on the Igbo campus University of Benin revealed that skeletal activities were ongoing within the university environment. Ofere Aneto reports.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Despite the strike, activities at the University of Benin Ugbawa campus were ongoing, feeding questions from the news crew. Chairman of SANU, University of Benin branch, Comrade Idu Julius, said the strike, which commenced on 1st of May 2026, was necessitated by the federal government's failure to meet key demands arising from the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement. He said the union rejected what it described as a unilateral offer by government, insisting on improved salary and allowance packages for members.
For a very long time, we have been waiting for government to come back and recommence this negotiation, which actually, after some time, they actually commenced. But failure to meet up with our demands also has put us into this strike mode. We are doing a lot for the system.
He expressed optimism that ongoing negotiations would yield positive results before suspension of the strike.
What we are requesting for the government is for them to give us a 45% increment. But if government is also looked at it from another perspective, like they did for our sister union, the Academic Staff Union, which we must congratulate at this moment, it's also fine. Give us 40%. It will also be acceptable so that the system can keep on running. We are believing that government will be reasonable enough on our struggle and grant us all that we require from them so that this strike will be suspended.
Edo State Chairman of NASU and Vice Chairman, Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joel Idonije, confirmed compliance with the strike, saying normal activities will resume once an agreement is reached with the federal government.
Is to let the national know that there is a total compliance in the University of Benin.
From Benin, Ofure Aneta, ITV News.
The Managing Director of Independent Television and Radio, Engineer Elvis Obaseki, has pledged continued media support to the newly elected executives of the National Association of Nigerian Students, South-South Zone B, to help drive meaningful change across their communities. He made this known when the student leaders paid a courtesy visit to the ITV corporate headquarters, Glass House Airport Road, Benin City. Joy Obarisiagbon reports.
The delegation led by the South-South Zone B coordinator, Comrade Bright Nosa Osagie, said the visit was aimed at familiarizing themselves with the station's digital broadcasting operations. He described ITV and radio as one of the most reliable and influential media organizations in the South-South region, noting that the student body is seeking a strategic partnership to promote student-focused initiatives and contribute to societal development.
ITV has owns that name in the South-South Zone and in the entire country at large, to have the free press for everybody. So that's our reason to come here today, to see how we can collaborate with ITV, to work together in this administration, to see how our advocacy can get ready to the student, and also make here a point of contact to every Nigerian student to know that our advocacy is being heard by all Nigerian students.
The immediate past coordinator of NANS Zone B expressed appreciation to the founder of ITV and Radio and Isamaru Benin, Cell Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawa Wigbenedion, as well as the managing team for their outstanding support to the association. He called for continued backing for the new leadership, reiterating the station's reputation as a pillar of excellence in the region.
This is our son. Please, the way you've adopted me as your son, also take him as a son. He will always give the best.
Responding, the Managing Director, ITV and Radio, Engineer Elvis Obaseki, congratulated the newly elected executives and charged them to make their tenure impactful by initiating programs that will benefit students and the society. He assured the Association of ITV and Radio's readiness to provide a platform for advocacy, engagement, and positive transformation.
You are coming in now for your colleagues. They put you there to manage their affairs. You are not going to feed them, but you can make life better by being role models to your colleagues. Please, as a coordinator of NAS, as you have highlighted these two things, I can tell you that the platform will be very ready.
Some members of the station's management, including the Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Lady Celerina Ojomo, and Director Independent Radio Team, were also present at the meeting. From Benin, Joy Obaisiagbon, ITV News.
Operatives of the Edo State Security Corps have apprehended one Owen Osas, a suspected member of Eye Confraternity, an alleged armed robber in Enya area, Benin City. The Deputy Commander of Operations of the Corps, Richard Balogun, confirmed that a suspect who was found in possession of a firearm has been handed over to the police for further investigation. Crime correspondent Jolade Ojo reports.
45-year-old Owen Osas, who hails from Oronigbe community in Orienwa local government area of Edo State, is an ex-convict who was sentenced to prison last year over illegal possession of firearms and involvement in criminal activities. He was again arrested on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026 at Fishpond Road in Enyai by operatives during a covert operation after he was caught with a cut-to-size single-barrel gun. The suspect, when questioned, admitted that he is a member of Eye Confraternity and claimed he was in possession of the firearm for protection.
What are you doing with this gun that they caught you with?
I used to protect myself.
Protect yourself for what?
As a courtesan.
Which of the confraternity do you belong to?
Eye Confraternity.
We got information that you came back from prison not quite too long.
That was last year.
What took you to the prison before?
The same thing all of them.
Meanwhile, a victim of his alleged robbery activities came forward to identify him as the man who robbed her a day earlier.
Yesterday around 8 o'clock in the evening, I stood there for front of my house. He passed, I greet him. So when he was carried for small, now he make you turn, come back. Now he bail up me with the gun, with the man who will get us sit down, my neighbor. Because if the brother shouts, he will shoot her. I collect my phone.
The Deputy Commander of Operations, Richard Balogun, assured residents of intensified operations to curb armed robbery and court-related activities across Edo State.
The boy has been arrested and I've directed that he should be handed over to the police. So the truth is that our men are always on patrol. So do what we call covert operation. That means you know wear uniform, we just go around while the other one will be in a location. So when you arrest, you beckon, then they will come and arrest. So we dominate the town everywhere, so that those criminals will be taken off the streets.
From Benin, Jola Diojo, ITV News.
And this is when we call it a wrap on the news updates at this time. Thank you so much for watching. I am Eko Davis. Good morning.
ITV, certainly the best.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
Benin Cultural Dance, a unique dance and quality dance steps of the Benin people. This dance is a vibrant mix of traditions, arts and beliefs, deeply rooted in the country's diverse ethnic groups and their rich history. The dance has artistic expressions depicting the people's history. Benin people have been famous for bronze and brass work, some of which is said to date back from the 13th century, especially ivory and wood carving. In Benin, the people dance to show respect, honor, dignity, which they honor. They dance to show royalty, as naids are seen in their numbers around their body depicting the symbol of kingship.
ITV, certainly the best.
Morning, and it is TMI Socials, where we talk about trending stories in social media, and of course to hear people's reaction about a particular story. I am Marcelina Unkwa. Our first story today, we saw where the Senate president yesterday, where he said that I think ADC party is dead. Please, they should compile every resignation letter from ADC so that it will be easy now. It's like so. Dears God, and the V go through.
Nations in the African Democratic Congress, committed to making my contributions towards our dear nation, but this time through the NDC. Please accept the assurances of my highest regards. Yours faithfully, the Senior Senator Victor Omefa. But do we expect further defection, or this is the last one? This is the last one. So is this my doctrine of Osondo? The race for life. Please get note. Thank you.
He's saying the truth. What is next for ADC? I mean, we saw the defection lately where Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, defected to end this. A lot of members and, of course, their followers joined them, defected with them. So what is the chance for ADC for the forthcoming election? Let's take a look at people's reaction on this particular story. Okay, this person said Bola Abu and Gabio's governance, it is demolition in slow motion. Every functional democracy needs an opposition, but in Nigeria, the ruling class treats oppositions like an enemy crushed, not a voice heard. Okay, let's take a look at the reaction. This other user says they keep mocking and laughing at the suffering of the masses, the suffering of parents as a joke, while they and their families eat and get fat. And let's take a look at another reaction. This other user says, it took me a long time to discover this personality. It's a typical mocker. Behold, people like these are often evil, even though they look like saints on the outside. Let's take a look at another reaction. This other person, Obina, says, they have left the party for Atiku. This man's greed will bury ADC. By 2031, he will move back to PDP to run again. Let's take a look at another reaction. Okay, this other person, Emmy, says, these are politicians like soft life. How resignation led Senate President to read on the floor of the Senate that made him to conclude that ADC is dead. Interesting. Okay, that is for that story. A story we would be looking at is we saw an APC member shed tears after his party reached a consensus and hand over the ticket to another party. He displayed the form he bought. This is really, really sad. Trust me. Take a look at the video and follow the reactions. All right, let's take a look at the reactions. This user says, we need to reduce how lucrative politics is in Nigeria. It is business. It should be focused, but people will still get into office, fail to perform after crying. The major driver is how creative politics has become in Nigeria. Naval reaction. There's another person like his NDC should take note of all the disgruntled politicians and go for them. Okay, let's take a look at another reaction. Winner, this user says, the consensus is being on the party members, and to imagine we expect free and fair elections from the party, free and fair primary election. Okay, let's look at another reaction. The user says, they are wicked to even their... You know you have a consensus. Why not just tell others not to waste money getting nomination form? This is really sad. Let's take a look at the last story for today. We saw a video where Randa, known as Peter for Nigeria, where he came out to say, shame on Nigerian army. Imagine going after someone who is advocating for better welfare for Nigerians. Nigerians, you need to see the kind of charges they brought against a justice. Saw a video where it came out to say that to expose the Nigerian army, the kind of food them and all of that. And I mean, they went, you know, kidnap him and all of that. And yesterday was a reign in court, you know, and this particular person was brought to court in Abuja yesterday. And Peter Randy has saying, it's actually saying now that you need to see what the Nigerian soldiers or what the what the government they are doing. The terrorists, they're dead. And this person came out to speak for Nigerian soldiers. They took him to... Here, take a look at the Google reaction.
Are you doing?
This is sad in our economy, trust me. Let's take a look at the reactions. The user says, very in the world, harassment. There's an outcome that common another reaction. This is a man that spoke up against the poor feeding condition of those who are meant to be protecting Nigeria from enemies. It's treaty. If there's no food in the bed, it's bandits. The real enemy of Nigeria is the evil system. Interesting. There's a person says they are doing this to make an example out of Justice Crack. What they don't know more of this crack ways. Enemy forget they are the ones at the receipt. You can hardly feed better bishop's dog, yet you are not angry enough to ask for better welfare. Interesting. That's the first reaction. This person says accountability shouldn't be mistake for rebellion. When people speak up for better welfare, it should spark reform, not retaliation. That's it. Okay, that is all for that. Really sad, trust me. This is all we've got for you this beautiful morning on CMI socials. I am Selena. Thank you so much for joining a Lagos Network Studio, a Benin Network Studio, and a Abuja Network Studio on CMI this morning. Do have a wonderful day ahead.
Cannot fight any longer.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Are you looking for a school that combines excellent academic standards with strong moral values? Look no